wayside, and that is a whole other story we can get into in another time. And I had no memory of where I was, who I was, or where I was. I had eventually found myself back living with my family. But even then, I didn't feel comfortable around these people because I really didn't know them at that time, because I didn't remember them. It was like I was living in a place which really, in my mind, I was living in a place I did not recognize, I did not know. It was alien to me. So shortly after that, it wasn't too long, I had gotten a car, I packed up what I could, did not say a word to anybody, and I just drove, and I drove, and I drove, and I drove, and I wound up in Phoenix, Arizona. And for really the next, I was even really staying off the grid before that, but, really for the next year and a half, I was just hopping around all over the southwestern desert. Now, I didn't understand what was going on with me, and I really felt like I was just crazy. I was having these vivid nightmares and these dreams and these visions, and I would, go to sleep in one location and wake up 12 miles away in another location. There was even 4 times when I absolutely know I laid down, I went to bed, and on one occasion, which was very odd, I woke up on the balcony of an apartment complex 2 miles away from where I lived with no clothes. I haven't really been able to explain these other than abduction, my lab, something. Anyways, to get to how I do this, I finally had it. I was done. I was fed up with everything. I could not go on. So I decided to take the plunge and kill myself. It failed. I couldn't. Not that I got scared, because I went through with it, and I did not die. When I woke up, I had, and I've never shared this publicly before, but I've had someone I'm in contact with now come to me, and he told me that this was not my time, that what happened, that things would eventually would come back to me, and that I had more work to do. Now, at first I ignored that, but I stayed alive, and then after finally witnessing and volunteering back to be what I was a part of in 2008 and the first 2 months of 2009, I went back to remember what happened a couple years before, and I decided that I was no longer going to be the monster they had made me, because, yes, I was a monster. I killed women. I killed men. I killed children. I abducted people. I was all over this world doing the things that people can't even imagine, the things that I was a part of. I needed to completely change who I was. Now, of course, it has been difficult because I still get taken. I still am subjected to horrible things that have happened as recently as a month and a half ago. But if I am able to get one person to become awake and aware, if I am able to have one other person who is a part of Mark Ultra, and I'll tell you, I'm in contact right now with at least 30 people that were part of various projects that I have confirmed. That is my purpose. My purpose is to my part with all the whistleblowers. I'm just doing my part to help humanity. And what's my motivation? Yes, I do some meditation, but I have to be careful with that, because sometimes I will go in a meditative state and I will switch altars, or I will have a couple days of missing time because I'm still in a semi-active status as far as the implants and as far as my role. But, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to the bread and butter, how do I do it? I just do it. I just take it a day at a time. That's pretty much it. I'm not scared of them. They know who I am. They know that I'm squawking. I don't care. If they want to come and find me, they can. They know where I'm at all the time. They haven't done so yet, but they have made the threats.
Now, that raises up my next question. But before I say that, I want to tell you from my heart, personally, you've done your job, and you did make a difference with one person I know of, because that's me. And in doing that, you've made all this possible, and don't stop what you're doing. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you, man, seriously. And I relate to you so much in so many ways. And I have a story that's a lot like yours. But that's, there's another time and a place for me to talk maybe with you about that. But people want to know how come you're talking, and how come they know where you are, and how come you're not being dealt with. And I think Duncan answered that when he answered for himself, that you guys are being held back for maybe one more activation. And the reason you're coming out is because you're not going to do it, and you don't want to be a part of that horrible person that you just talked about, and you are not going to be activated to protect the elite during a time of chaos upon us, where they're going to bring down this country. They're going to bring out 9/11. They're going to say, yeah, it was an inside job. They're going to demonize the United States, and they're going to crush the monetary system, and the rest of the world is going to look at us like we're these evil people, just like everybody looked at Germany when we brought the Nazis over here. And that's really what's going on here. And it really wouldn't put it past them if, you have Ron Paul here now in the polls winning these straw polls, which he was doing way before. He was doing this during the elections, and they were ignoring it. And now they're not ignoring it. And what that tells me is they're pissing off Christians with guns. And I use that term because I've heard it before. And what I think is they're trying to create a revolution. And they may bring up the fact that Obama is really Barry Zotoro, and he comes from Indonesia, and he doesn't have legitimate reason for being president here. Even more reason to bring out the white supremacists or whoever you want to label them as to come out and start these riots and get the ball rolling, because that's what they want to do, is demonize the United States and make us fight with each other, just like they've done in this capitalist system, and watching sports and pinning us against each other since day one. And that's something that my friend Travis brought up at Awake and Aware to Alex Collier, because that's one thing that we didn't feel was really covered very well, that we're all pinned against each other. And when we're pinned against each other, how do we deal with that in this type of system, this capitalist system? How do we deal with the fact that somebody wants $150 for an event and we can't afford to go to it? How do we connect? Because if we don't connect, this is what they have planned for us. The coming down of America is upon us, and we need to wake the hell up.
You're right. And before I get into reply to that, we do have a question in the chat room. And the question is from Jeremy Scotland, and the question is this weird weather caused by ionospheric heating? Now, what he's asking is basically is the global warming, is the weird weather happening through ionospheric heating? There's many different approaches that they're using for altering weather. Chemtrails, which, they use everything from, I think it's called aluminum barium. They're even using sodium fluoride and many, many others. In fact, where I live, and just by, no coincidences, but in Pahrump and Pasadena are two of the cities where is kind of the test areas for various types of new chemtrails. Chemtrails are definitely used in altering weather. HARP, obviously, the more well-known one, as well as chemtrails. But this is something that I have actually spoken with Duncan and another friend of mine as far as CERN. There are some theories out there now that actually the CERN facility has the capabilities of alternating the weather. So
and
that's
what we're talking about here is weather wars. And not only do we have the capability with HARP, but Russia and China have these capabilities too. We recently, I mean not recently, but a while back, we caused an earthquake in China apparently, where there's a lot of YouTube videos out there on that, as well as some people are saying that the hurricane